Today I'm going to show you how to do a color correction on an eyebrow tattoo. In this tutorial, I'm going to go over step by step how to color correct an eyebrow which has faded red. Now I'm going to do this on silicone skin, and I will also be talking about the needles that I'll be using as well as the pigments. Hi everyone, this is Julia from Pigmenta Permanent Cosmetics, and welcome to my channel, the #1 place for permanent makeup education, science, and inspiration. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you click that subscribe button below, hit the bell, and turn on your notifications. Everything I mentioned in this video will be linked in the description box below. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to do this demo using the manual technique, which most practitioners and technicians are not familiar with. But I feel like in my practice, it just gives me a better control over the procedure. Part of how I know how deep to go into the skin is that I listen to the sound. Now that can't be done on a machine, as the machine buzzes and I can't hear the sound. I also know how deep I'm going into the skin by the vibration of the skin. And again, with the machine, it's harder for me to tell which layer I'm at. But these days, the machines are very sophisticated, especially the digital kind, where you can set the oscillation mechanism to the desired depth penetration. But to each his own, and if you're not familiar or you're not comfortable using the manual technique, this can easily be translated to the machines, from the basic tattoo gun all the way to the digital machines. What you want to just keep in mind is that you use a needle that has a more dense needle configuration, and that's all you need. Also, my pigments have a creamier consistency, so if you want to use the same pigments I'm using, please make sure that you just put a couple drops of distilled water into your mixture, and this way it becomes a little bit more watery and it's easier for the machines to pick up the pigment. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil, which is a 0.7 millimeter, and I'm just going to draw eyebrow. And the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to use a red felt tip lip stain and just coloring the inside just to pretend that the eyebrows have turned red. And I'm using a micro tip applicator to just smooth it out and distribute the color. And yeah, just trying to fill in all the spots. And I'm going to wipe it as well, just so it looks a little bit more natural. There you go. Okay, so as you can see, I have some limeade already in my cup, which I call the sweetheart ring. I will be using 3 needles today. So the first one is 39, and that's for the outside edges. And you can see they come individually packed and sterile. And I will be putting that on a click stick, which is also disposable 100%, so you wouldn't have to worry about anything, just all goes right into the biohazard container. And then I will be using the 36 for the fill-in. The 6 later I will show you, which I will use to shade at the end. But the 2 techniques I will be using is called tapping and shading. I will talk about tapping, shading, and blading in another video, so look out for that. Although this is not real skin, what I'm still going to do is I am going to stretch it just like you would on regular skin, which is the 3-point stretch. I always say you want the skin as tight as the skin on the drum. is what tapping sounds like, and just pay attention to the sound that resembles Velcro. So I'll speed this up again. For the skin to have enough color saturation, we need to tap 7 to 10 times on one spot before we move on to the next. And then to get good coverage, you need 3 passes in total. As I mentioned earlier, you can definitely transfer this to any of the devices, either coil, rotary, or digital. You can either use a denser shading needle and you probably only need 1 to 2 passes, or you could use a single needle and you would use it like you do a powder or an ombre brow. So now I'm just going to be finishing up the first pass on the outline. Okay, so I'm starting the second pass now. I know you can't see it, but I'm actually going a little bit outside of the perimeter just to ensure that I am not left with a red halo at the end. And I am also starting to fill in the ends as well. I will be switching the needles now. I will be using the 36. So really the difference between the 39 and the 36 is that the 39 is what we call a straight tip needle, and all the needles are in a straight edge, whereas the 36, the needle configuration is as such that it is all in a round. So starting the third pass on the outline, and then I'll be doing passes 2 and 3 on the fill-in. But what I want to mention is that when you're facing blue and green eyebrows, you would use the orange aid, and then if you're facing purple eyebrows, you would use the limeade. Now, if you were working on a client, you would go back and forth between both eyebrows and each pass. This way, each side has the opportunity to absorb color, and it has time to oxidize. Oxidation of the color just means that the color has now come in contact with oxygen and has darkened. As you can see, with each pass, I layer more and more color, and I'll continue to do that until it's filled. Once I'm done with the 3 passes, there might be some spots left that are not covered. So I can at this point take my shading blade and just go over it. This is a really cool needle. Basically, it's a needle that has 6 needles aligned in a curve, and it's also a great microblading needle. It gives you nice short strokes. So I'm almost done now with the procedure, and I know it looks really green, but don't worry about it because once it's healed on the skin, it's neutralized and you won't see any traces of the green. Now you can just let it heal, or you can do any new eyebrow style over it, microblading, ombre, powder, whatever you like. Just keep in mind, if you decide to do microblading, not to soak the area so the lines are nice and crisp. And voila! Here's a side-by-side so you can see the before and after. I also added another video in there. I wanted to show you the orange aid. This is a case where the client actually has blue brows, and I'm correcting it right now. I'm also using the 16 blade, it's a curve, and I'm shading it in right now, and I'm using the 39 then to tap in the sides. Don't worry about that third hand. She's my lovely chairside assistant. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that this information will help you and your clients. If you want to know more about this and other topics, please visit us at pigmentausa.com. I would love to hear from you. Please tell me in the comments below. I will upload a new video every week. I will talk to you soon.